Om Shanti. We shall continue reading the Murli that we started yesterday, which is dated 7th of April 1981. Title of the Murli is The Experience of Becoming an Embodiment of All Powers by Using Your Churning Power. Yesterday we saw in the beginning of the Murli, Baba took us through what it means to be using your churning power, because the churning power, when we use whatever we have churned, gives us the authority of experience, as each soul will have a different experience while the churning is being done by them. And then one imbibes the point of knowledge is when we also become the embodiment of knowledge. So, Baba mentioned, as is your face is your character, as is your awareness, so is your character, and so is your stage. He took us through explaining this by an example of what it means physically when you eat food, how it becomes or converts into blood, and that blood in the body becomes the strength and energy of body and become one. So the food we eat doesn't remain separate but becomes one with our body and then becomes energy and strength for the body. Similarly, I mentioned that for the soul to gain energy and strength, the basis is using the churning power, experiencing the churning power, using it, and becoming an embodiment of the knowledge. We'll continue reading the Murli where we left yesterday. So I'll read the last paragraph that we read yesterday and then we'll continue the rest of the Murli. Constantly keep your portrait of perfection in which all your virtues and all your powers are merged. By keeping such a portrait in front of you, your character will automatically become elevated. You will not need to labor. You have to labor when you lack churning power. Throughout the day, keep churning this. Constantly keep your elevated portrait in front of you, and with churning power, your laboring will end. You have heard plenty of knowledge. You speak a lot too. So, why do you experience yourselves to be weak as you move along? Why do you experience everything to be hard work? Why do you think that something is difficult? It's because you don't churn it after hearing it. Just as it is essential for your body to have the power to digest after eating, the power to churn is just as essential to make you souls powerful. By using your churning power, churning the knowledge that you receive from the Father becomes your own experience. with the power to digest, food in the form of blood becomes strength in the form for the body. The energy of the food becomes strength for the body. The food does not remain separate from the body. In the same way, when you churn every point of knowledge, that knowledge becomes your own strength. For instance, the first point of the soul is I, the soul, am the master. After hearing this and churning it, you become an embodiment of it. That awareness makes you powerful. I am a master. This experience makes you powerful. So, how did you then become that? On the basis of your churning power. So, the first point of knowledge of the soul is being an embodiment of experience. Similarly, take the point of the knowledge of the drama. You don't just speak about or hear the point that whatever happens is the drama, but while you move along, you experience yourself to be a hero actor. Then, by using your churning power, you become an embodiment of that experience. This is the special power of the soul. The greatest power is to be an embodiment of experience. Those who are experienced constantly move along with the authority of their experience. Experienced people can never be deceived. Experienced people would not allow themselves to be disturbed by anyone or to get upset by hearsay. One word of an experienced person is far more valuable than 1,000 words of someone else. Experienced soul remains constantly full of the treasure of their experiences. Those who experience every point of knowledge with churning power are constantly powerful, Maya proof, and obstacle proof. They become like Angat. They can shake others, but cannot be shaken themselves. So, do you now understand what you have to do? A physical illness comes when you lack one vitamin or other. Similarly, weakness in souls is due to a lack of vitamins of the experience of churning every point of knowledge. There are various vitamins A, B, C, etc. Similarly, you souls should realize when you lack the vitamin of one or other experience. A is the vitamin of Atma, that's soul. B is the vitamin of Bab, the father. C is the vitamin of the drama, the creation or the circle. You can represent all the vitamins in this way because you are all clever at this. Therefore, check yourself to see which vitamin you lack. Check whether you lack experiencing yourself to be a soul, whether you lack having a relationship with a father, or whether you lack experiencing the depths of the knowledge of the drama, or whether you lack experiencing specialities when forming relationships with others. Let's underline this statement. It has four different points that Baba is mentioning here. He says, check whether you lack experiencing yourself to be a soul, a point of light, whether you lack having a relationship with the Father. When he says a relationship with the Father, he means all the relationships at one level. Or whether you lack experiencing the depths of the knowledge of the drama, that's vitamin A, B, C that he's mentioned earlier. And the fourth point that he mentions is, or whether you lack experiencing specialities when forming relationship with others. Specialities of who? First, experiencing I, the soul, stabilizing myself in the points of self respect, and then I reflect the same or ripple the same for other souls with whom I get connected with and form a relationship. Do I see the same in them as well? Or whether you lack experiencing your form of all powers. One reflection on this point is, am I using the powers at the right time when it's required, or am I getting deceived? Fill that gap by using your churning power. Not just churn, but use the churning power. Souls cannot become powerful by just remaining part of the audience or even by simply giving lectures. Underline point here is part of the audience or by simply giving lectures. You cannot become powerful just by doing these two things. Baba says, to become an embodiment of knowledge means to be an embodiment of experiencing that knowledge. And who experiences the knowledge? The one who is playing the role in the game of life and not the audience. You have to increase your experience, and the basis of that is churning power. Those who churn automatically remain absorbed in their churning. When you have the stage of remaining absorbed in your churning, you do not have to work hard to have yoga, but you will experience yourself to be constantly connected in yoga. You won't have to make any effort to be absorbed in this stage means to remain merged in the ocean of love. Remain merged in the ocean in such a way that you cannot be separated. Therefore, you must now free yourself from laboring. When you stop being extroverted, you can become free from laboring and remain constantly merged in your introverted form of experience. Quite deeper point to reflect on: when you stop being extroverted, you can become free from laboring and remain constantly merged in your introverted form of experience. There is an ocean of experiences. There aren't just one or two experiences, but countless experiences. Do not just bathe in a small pond of experiences by having one or two experiences. You are the children of the ocean and so become merged in an ocean of experiences. You are not the children of a pond. Souls who are called founders of religion or great souls are ponds. You have removed yourselves from those ponds. You have already drunk enough water from those many ponds. You have now become merged in the one ocean. To such constantly powerful souls, to the souls who are constantly merged in an ocean of experiences, to such constantly powerful souls, to the souls who are constantly merged in an ocean of experiences, to the souls who constantly keep their portraits of perfection in front of them and thereby become souls with elevated characters, to the constantly elevated, fortunate souls, to those who are constantly introverted and who make others happy, to such double heroes, to those who are constantly introverted and who make others happy, to such double hero souls, Babdada's love, remembrance, and namaste. From us children, love, remembrance, and namaste to Babdada. Babdada meeting groups. Do you constantly consider yourself to be a jewel who is close to the Father? Do you constantly consider yourself to be a jewel who is close to the Father? What would indicate a close jewel? Close means equal. To be close to someone means to stay in the company of that one. What happens when you stay in someone's company? You become colored by that company. Those who remain constantly close to the Father, that is, those who stay in the Father's company, will be colored by Him and will therefore become equal to Him. Do you experience yourself to be that close, that is equal? While keeping every virtue in front of you, check which of your virtues are equal to those of the Father. Whilst keeping every power in front of you, check in which powers you have become equal to the Father. Your title is a master who is full of all virtues, a master almighty authority. Do you constantly remember this title of yours? When you have all powers, that is, when you are victorious, you can then never be defeated. Those who become part of the garland around the Father's neck can never be defeated. जो बाप के गले का हार बन जाए वो कभी हार नहीं सकता. How the two words in Hindi makes a difference when it's been used in different contexts. Father's neck can, those who become part of the garland around the father's neck can never be defeated. Therefore, always remain aware that you are part of the garland around the father's neck. When you do this, being defeated by Maya will finish. You will defeat others, but you yourself will not be defeated. Do you have such intoxication? And Baba gives example of Hanumana here. He says, Hanuman is also called Mahavir, that's brave warrior. What did Mahavir do? He burnt Lanka. He did not get burnt himself, but he burnt the whole of Lanka with his tail. So you are the Mahavirs who are going to burn Lanka, are you not? Maya may come to you with a right, but you have to abolish her rights and make her subservient. Hanuman is portrayed with the speciality of being constantly ready to serve, kneeling by Rama. He always considered himself to be a server. Only those who are constant servers can abolish all of Maya's rights. Those who are not servers cannot burn Maya's kingdom. Hanuman constantly had Rama residing in his heart. Hanuman constantly belonged to one Rama and no one else. So, for you too, let there not be anyone but the Father in your heart. Let your heart not even have the awareness of your body. You have been told that even your body does not belong to you. You have been told that even your body does not belong to you. Since even your body is not yours, how can anyone else enter your heart? Whilst living at home with your family, consider yourself to be a trustee, not a householder. When you consider yourself to be a householder, all your past and future burdens are on your head. Just give me a second. To be a trustee means to be double light. When you are soul conscious, you are a trustee. Whereas when you are body conscious, you become a householder. To become a householder means to become trapped in the trap of attachment to Maya. To be a trustee means to be constantly light and to fly in happiness. To be a trustee means that Maya's web finishes. Om Shanti. Let's take a pause for a few moments, reflect on what Baba has said today, and then we shall come back to share our takeaways and reflections from today's Murli. Unmute and share your takeaways.
Om Shanti. So Baba says,
Exactly.
we have to consider ourselves a server, constant server, just like Hanuman. So we are always protected. And Baba says, Hanuman uh, called Mahavir because he just burned the Lanka, the whole Lanka. He was not burnt in that, but he burned the Lanka. So similarly, we have to, we have to consider ourselves to be a server, right? So when we have that intention of serving, right, then we become powerful, right? And we will be able to burn the kingdom of Maya. So that's the takeaway from it.
Yeah. So one reflection on this is, what is that I, the soul, need to burn? And because as you already mentioned about checking on Maya and seeing to it that we're using the right powers at right times and not allowing Maya to be, our master. So what needs to be burned, according to me, is what I was getting was old sanskars to be burned. Everything which belongs to the old world, which is not serving either soul and the world around, needs to be burned. And maybe one can make the whole list of things as to what is that needs to be burned. What does this memorial of burning the Lanka by Hanumana means for either soul at the soul level to burn? That's one reflection if anybody wants to add on this.
Yeah, so I think here, when we belong to the one Father, right, none other, right? So when we have that one thought, Father belongs to me, right? We know that Hanuman was a great devotee of Rama, right? So he saw only Rama. We did not see anyone else, right? So when we have that intense love, right, for Baba, right? So we become similar to Baba. Baba's qualities start flowing into us, right? The virtues and powers, and also that love is going to help us um, uh, burn the impurities that we have. Impurity in the sense all the vices. Yes, what vices I have, that is something we'll have to check. But I think when we are deeply connected with Baba, right, we have that intense love for Baba, right, then the old sanskars or the Ravana sanskars, right, they don't pop up, right, they don't come into action. And slowly they die within us. And so that is one reflection
Yeah,
that I get.
yeah, and that's what Baba's mentioned further in the Murli also today, that just check in whose company are you in, because whose company you are is where you'll get colored from that company. And uh, in that company, you would pick up or will become like that company. So you'll become equal to the person in whose company you are in, and therefore Baba says stay always in remembrance and in yoga with the Father. He's the only one who will be instrumental or support us in elevating ourselves. Because if we look at the first point that we started reading today, where Baba says to check on a couple of things and fill in the gap. Check whether you lack experiencing yourself to be a soul, whether you lack having a relationship with the Father, or whether you lack experiencing the depths of the knowledge of the drama, or whether you lack experiencing specialities when forming relationships with others, or whether you lack experiencing your form of all powers. I think good 6 points for checking and churning and changing is what is given in today's Murli, in continuation to what you were speaking about, Vijay.
Yeah, thank you. So, I was thinking, how can we do this checking? We can check how much am I experiencing as a soul, right? So I know that experiencing is there when we do meditation, right? But that's the initial level again, but it has to be constant and all the time, right? And it has to come in our interaction also when we behave with the world, right? So need to check what percentage, or also need to check as I've started this journey, right? And what is my stage when I started this journey, and what is my stage now? Is there any progress? Have I made progress? If there is progress, yes, I'm coming close.
Correct. And that was the first point in this Murli that we started yesterday, where Baba said to look at where you were and where you are today. And continuing to what you mentioned, how do I check? If you go to the further point, what we read today, Baba says one method that he's given for experiencing ongoingly the churning, and after churning, experiencing all the points of knowledge, he says one method is to be a real player in the game of life and not just be an audience or somebody who just speaks about the knowledge. Just imbibe it, experience for your own self. And that's only possible when we play with the points of knowledge for our own self. This is something which I really like in today's Murli, where Baba says that don't be an audience, but be a player.
Yeah, right.
Anyone
Om
else?
Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti.
In yesterday's Varadan also, Baba mentioned about this hero part, Dari. So in that he considered everything to be a game. Whatever may be the situation, even it seems to be like crying outside. So don't go into that. Think that itself as a game and cross that situation. So like a hero part. So today also Baba is mentioning hero part there in other aspect. So we have to imbibe and we have to play, not just by saying words. So an experienced word is more valuable, powerful than 1,000 words. So how can we take that in yesterday's context, sister? So how is we have to consider as a game. So if any situation, a critical situation.
For that, Baba has asked us to use the churning power of the point of drama, but begin this from the first point. That's one reflection that I'm getting. Others can add on.
So today 4 points Baba mentioned, 4 vitamins like that Baba mentioned. That one, sister.
Yes.
So we have. Okay, thank you, sister.
Oh, Shanti, sister, can anyone
Yes,
just, can anyone just me few points, few tips to churn, because I've never churned in few tips how whether the whole Murli has to be churned or how is it done?
One method.
What exactly is churning?
Yeah, one method that I use sometimes is the asking questions. So if you take one point, right, you can you can add this what, why, where, and how. What, why, where, and how. Any point that you take, and if you add these four questions, right? What, why, and where, and how. So that, and if you can find answers from that sentence of what that which Baba said, right? And that itself will eventually take you to a churning
Okay, thank you.
stage. Yeah.
My method is, sister, I think that Baba wants to understand the point exactly what he wants to explain actually, so that he's explaining each and every word with an example. So today also, as sister and brother discussed, as Anuman, Mahavir, Ankad, so all the stories we had heard before. So like that strong, intense love, we know whenever Anuman means, we think about his strong love, immense love for Raman. And that picture also we may be used to see in Bhakti also. He's hugging Rama, and in his heart the Rama only. So like that, any example, Ganges also, you should be the Ganges of Sarva. So you should not stay anywhere. So everything Baba is explaining with an example, like a flower, which flower you should be. And whenever you want to, you have to do dancing in your heart. So dancing means how each and every organ and with the full of involvement we'll be doing now. Similarly, so I used to churn in that way, sister.
Thanks, thank you. But sister, I just want to know. See, in today's in few days or all these days, Murli, there are so many points, so many. Each and every point was worth jotting it down and churning. But the next day when you come, you again come up with so many points, and the churning is left. The yesterday's churning is left behind, like so. That's
Would anybody
Yeah.
like to take up that question?
Yeah, so I think, we don't really need to focus on churning all the points because it's so much of Murli, right? So I would, look for my way of churning, right? So there'll be situations in our life, okay? Every day, it'll be different, right? So it would make more sense churning knowledge with your situation that you're going through. Okay, so it could be your office related situations, or it could be your personal or your home. We all go through challenges every day. Okay, one or the other. That's for sure. So if you can, when there is a problem, right? So we, especially Baba's children, would be more solution oriented, okay, than being problem oriented, making it more problematic, right? So outside people, they look at problem and they'll pinpoint problems. Whereas Baba's children would be more looking at a solution, what the solution is, what the solution is. There is this problem, what the solution is. So when we become more solution oriented, right, then we will be paying attention to what Baba said. What solution can be used? Baba will give different analogy, right? In Murli, like today he said this body ABCD, right? And similarly, we can think all this. Okay, so my situation is this, and what is the solution? What is the solution? If you keep checking this, right, with the Murli that you've read, some touchings you will definitely have, and that will definitely take you to solve your problems. Okay, you will get something out of the box, a thought. And if you stick with that and then uh, think further, you will definitely get an answer to um, the problems that you are facing. So if you can, if you can do this way, that's going to be more beneficial. Because if you just churn something that which is not relevant to your life, um, it may not uh, it may not stay with you for long, or you may forget it. But something you are experiencing and you are using Baba's knowledge to come out of it, right? Then that's going to stay with you forever, because you have experienced that knowledge and you've used it, that knowledge, and you've used it to come out of your situation. So that's going to stay with you longer. And definitely, unknowingly, you will end up churning that knowledge because you're going through that situation, right? I'm not sure if I answered your question. Yeah. Thank you.
No, yes, very nice. Thank you.
Adding on further on this churning is this another way that worked for me is one is when we look at churning when the situation comes in. The other thing is we keep churning and looking at what is that Baba is mentioning when he says, who I am is a point of light and an energy. When I fill myself up with what is this energy is possible of, what can the energy do? Now, when the situation comes in, I then bring this point in practice that who I am is this energy, which is beyond the situation. And that problem becomes a possibility for me to move ahead in the space of unlimited, breaking the barriers of the limited self of who I am as not this body, but a soul. So the limited self is being caged in this body and body consciousness. And the unlimited space is considering myself as an energy and a soul. Now, when I churn this way, it's easy for me to then work at the time when the situation comes in. And that is possible when this awareness is there with me. And that awareness will come only when I'm churning this knowledge and using this knowledge in my day-to-day life. One simple practice is, okay, if I have to see who I am as a soul, I see myself as a point of light. And then I take up a game as to, okay, whoever I'm meeting in the day-to-day, I see them as a point of light and not their body. Can I bring that in practice in my daily life? Whether there is a situation where there is no difficult situation, and that also gives an access to me to then manage a situation when it comes in. That's something which worked for me.
Yeah, thank you.
There are a few points mentioned on the chat. Vinodbhai says churning is discussing knowledge with others, drawing, writing. Yeah, that these are also methods that use an access to think beyond, especially the first point, discussing knowledge with others. And then sharing the experience of the practice also with others. Um, adds on to bringing or using the churning power in practice. A few other points mentioned by Radhamani's sister. She says 3 vitamins important for the soul: A, Atma; B, Pa; C, Drama, the creation or the circle. Anyone lacking means there, there is a weakness. Don't be a pond, be a ocean. Be merged in the ocean of experience. If we in the intro, if we in the introversion means we will get countless experiences. Yeah, that is also one of the powerful points of today's Murli, where Baba mentions use the power of churning, experience that in silence, in introversion, and fill yourself so much that you are able to be an instrument to give happiness, not just to yourself, but to others. Then she mentions Hanumana belongs to one Rama and no one else. Would anybody else would like to share before we move on to meditation? One last sharing.
Om Shanti, sister. Good morning. Um, uh, I've I've taken a short break, and I happen to now burn this World of Ravan. That is my mobile phone. I did not use my phone entirely yesterday, and I realized a great amount of release and lightness at head. I would like to continue it for some more days. I realized that more than external world, the internal world is now being occupied by these smart devices. And wantingly, I have realized that yes, it has become an automatic process, and I have been able to come out of it yesterday fully. Thank you.
Yeah, this gives me to the reflection that it's been almost 2 days plus that I haven't gone and seen the Instagram, and that's been a conscious effort. And I don't want to be just getting trapped on those reels. And there's a lot of peace at my end. There are no unnecessarily thoughts, which or no kind of thinking, extra thinking that used to otherwise go on is all stopped. And as you rightly said, you're in the internal world looks to be more beautiful, and there is time to check on what needs to be worked on. The priorities changes when we really start being with our own self in solitude. Madhusudan brother mentions digital wellness is more important.
So Baba also mentioned, sister, that you have to consider yourself to be a trustee, not a grahasti. So that also one important
Yes,
point to be practiced, sister.
yes. And
So easily
we
we can
given the
detach.
differentiation. Yes. We can get detached when we consider ourselves as a trustee and not as a householder. So, very, very simple words, Baba has today defined and given us the distinction between what it means to be a trustee and what happens when you consider yourself as a householder.
So 2 days back, when I supposed to hear Suraj Bhai's commentary, so in that also I got one point, sister. That is, we are thinking actually what happens if we left our body, what will happen to our spouse or children, like that. So in that commentary, I got that everything will go fine. Baba is actually responsible. Don't take the responsibility and the boj in you. If Baba is responsible, he do everything in a very good, very perfect manner. So like that, that point also I got, sister. So when I think my child to be a child of supreme or authority, then all his qualities will go within him. If I am thinking as my child, then it's limited only. So what my weaknesses, what my specialities, that only resembles his character. But when I am thinking unlimited as Baba's child, so all his perspectives, all his qualities will be there in his child. So that way, I think the trustee we can do, sister. Om Shanti.
Yes, sister. So let's move on to meditation. And today we will experience the world of introvertness. So without any music or commentary, just let's sit in silence for 2 minutes and reflect on the various points, the Murli that touched either soul for me to practice and become an authority of experience. Om Shanti. Have a wonderful day and let's practice, continue the practice of what we took yesterday is churning the points of Murli and using those points to experience the same and be an embodiment and example for the world. We shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Om Shanti.